Completely with Russia's giant energy industry halting all purchases of Russian crude oil immediately and shutting its service stations in the country. The UK-based company said last week it would dump investments in Russia and that this change is aligned with new government guidance. Russian crude oil is already being shunned by some traders and oil companies, and the U.S. is now considering banning imports as well.
Well, new this morning, Ukraine has begun evacuating people from its besieged city, which this morning, as the country seeks to ease growing humanitarian crisis fueled by the Russian invasion. The two countries agreed to a new safety corridor and ceasefire in the northeastern region of Sunni. It came days after an unsuccessful effort to get civilians out of the hard-hit areas and continue attacks and skepticism about Moscow's intentions.
New this morning as well on our fast track to 7, police in the FM Metro are looking for a 16-year-old who ran away from home last night. Picture on your screen right now. Take a look. Contact Fargo Police if you have any information about this boy, Jamal Sheriff.
Also new this morning, one person is dead after an apartment fire in Minot. The North Dakota State Fire Marshal is helping local crews determine the cause of the Sunday morning fire.
They got the call just after midnight and found smoke pouring from a first-floor unit. Officials say the apartment where the fire started did not have a working smoke detector. A Bismarck man is facing attempted murder charges for allegedly attacking a stranger at a Mandan gas station because he thought that person smirked at him. Prosecutors say 31-year-old Patrick Stanley jumped on a man's back and then choked him.
The victim told police he'd never seen or met Stanley before. Prosecutors say the only provocation for the attack could be that the victim looked at Stanley.
It is now 6:52 on this Tuesday morning. Let's get a check of your fast track forecast. And we're talking some winter weather advisories, Lisa.
Yes, winter weather advisory for the Devil's Lake area today. It started up at the top of the hour and will continue through the day. A wind advisory for the James River Valley. This is an area where we expect our winds to be strongest, though all of us can expect some windy conditions. And in addition to that, the potential for some scattered snow. So where the strongest wind and snow combine, most likely up by Devil's Lake. But this is something that's going to, again, have some impacts throughout the valley today. Current radar and satellite map looking fairly quiet. There are some patches where we're seeing a little bit of light snow. It's more into midday in the afternoon where we'll see more of those scattered snow showers. A little bit shaky on our camera here in Fargo, and we're looking at conditions that are super mild to start. We're at 30 degrees this morning. But it feels like 18 when we factor in this wind. It's out of the west-northwest at 20 miles per hour. Moorhead's at 28 degrees. And the issue will be once this wind starts to turn completely northwest, we've got colder air moving in, and that's when we're dealing with some conditions that are going to be stopping as far as seeing that temperature rise today. It's 23 degrees in Grand Forks, but it feels like 8, so be ready for that. And here's a look at our hour-by-hour planner for the bus stop. Expect to have temperatures getting into the 20s and around the valley around 8 a.m. and we'll have that wind already increasing at that point this afternoon, even stronger speeds and temperatures again sliding a bit as the day goes on. We'll have the potential for more of those isolated to scattered snow showers continuing on into the afternoon. So a look at our potential wind here in the valley. Not everybody will see these gusts, but the potential is there. This morning starting to see that wind pick up, getting into that 20 mile per hour steady speed range, gusting to about 40. Midday and into early afternoon, I think that's where some of us, especially out west, may see up to a 50 mile per hour gust. So the wind's going to be a problem even if we don't have snow. And then we continue that potential for those stronger gusts in that 40 plus range into drive time for tonight. So the wind is going to be the issue. Factor in again some of that snow in some spotty areas, and visibility is going to come down pretty quickly. So this is not something that's going to affect the entire valley at any given time, but we'll have these scattered areas. If you're driving today, especially if you're traveling long distances, you may have okay conditions to start, and then you run into one of these snow squalls where your visibility drops very quickly. So we just want you to be prepared. Roads may become a little slick too heading into the afternoon. And as you see behind me, much colder once this system moves on.
Yeah, keep the VNL weather app handy today. Lisa, thank you.
It's an admission that's been decades in the making for Ron Vesic, who stepped forward 11 years ago about being sexually abused by a priest when Vesic was a boy. And now the Crookston Catholic Diocese is finally acknowledging that Monsignor Roger Groothuis acted inappropriately and caused lasting harm to a child back in 1971. Vesic says that Groothuis abused him 40 years before telling the diocese about it in 2011.
Then in 2017, Vasic filed a lawsuit against both the diocese and then Bishop Michael Hepner, who he says did not take sufficient measures to investigate. Hepner was ordered to step down by the Pope for interfering with clergy abuse investigations. Current Crookston Diocese Bishop Andrew Kozin says Hepner will not return to perform any ministry, and his retirement benefits are also reduced. Teachers in one of Minnesota's largest school districts are walking off the job this morning after failing to reach a contract deal with the Minneapolis School Board.
Across the Mississippi River, St. Paul teachers advert a strike with an agreement last night. Issues in both districts were pretty much the same: wages, class sizes, and mental health services for students, including a counselor and social worker at every school. Any bipartisan group for the state lawmakers wants this to be a year sports being legalized in Minnesota. We're pitching sports gambling inside the state's tribal casino or online anywhere.
40% of revenues would go to youth sports and programming across the state, with a special priority to place experiences with high levels juvenile of crime. Another share would go to problem gambling, and the remainder of the revenue would be used for consumer protection.
What we have done is develop a model that is specific to Minnesota, that works with the dynamic that we have here in Minnesota, that's designed for Minnesotans.
Sponsors need a buy-in from the tribal governments. The Minnesota Indian Gaming Association says it supports the state's efforts and believes the tribal casinos are best positioned to bring this to consumers.
Well, 2021 was a record-breaking year for the number of people issued a permit to carry in the state of Minnesota.
And the Valley Today's J.C. Dodd joins us live this morning with a breakdown of what that means for Minnesotans. Good morning, J.C.
Good morning. I'm at the Clay County Sheriff's Office this morning, where more people walked in over the last year to get their permit to carry a firearm than ever before. And guys, it's the same story across the state of Minnesota. More than 106,000 people applied to get their permit to carry a handgun in 2021. That's a record-breaking number in the state of Minnesota since the state's Personal Protection Act was enacted back in 2003. Now in 2020, more than 96,000 Minnesotans were issued a permit to carry. That's almost double from the year before. You can see on your screen in 2019, 51,000 people received their permit to carry. Now I want to break down 2021 numbers by county. Take a look at this. The county sheriffs to issue the largest number of permits to carry: Hennepin, Ramsey, Anoka, and Dakota. Compared here to Clay County, where 1,000 residents were issued a permit to carry last year. Now, the total number of permits in Minnesota it's tallied at 387,000 permits to carry, and nearly 4,000 crimes were committed by permit holders in 2021. That's according to sheriffs. They're reporting those numbers, and it's the highest number since the state's Personal Protection Act was enacted again back in 2003. However, that percentage of permit holders stands at 1%, which is on par with years past. So that 1% is the same as we've seen in recent years. So a lot of people trying to get their permit to carry a handgun right here in Minnesota.
J.C. Dodd reporting live in Moorhead this morning. Thank you. Fargo city officials are considering different plans for possibly extending Veterans Boulevard. The study analyzed adding about 4 miles from 52nd Avenue to 100th Avenue South. 3 alternatives are being considered as to what could be expected. It includes a 3-lane section with traffic lights or stop signs at major intersections, and the construction of a 1-lane section with roundabouts at major intersections.
Well, the study also looked at potential connections to the Deer Creek neighborhood from Veterans Boulevard. Officials say this is geared towards improving emergency response, bike or pedestrian connections, and providing access to the new middle and high school in Horace. Recommendations were approved last night, but the city is still a long way from finalizing a definitive plan.
And I should also say the city of West Fargo says it will be out this week fixing potholes that are in the roads. So if you have to see any road closures there, watch out as they're doing a fix now that we're kind of in pothole season here. Otherwise, the Today Show and CBS Mornings are just about to start, but the Valley Today rolls on. More live up-to-the-minute news and weather is coming up for you on the Fargo CW. Have a happy and safe Tuesday, everyone.